Fair enough. One of the most common symptoms of tripod snobbery is having unrealistic expectations for every new tripod you see or pick up. This will become important over the next few minutes. So, in case you hadn't noticed, we're on a hike, and I'm going to be trying out the new K&F Concept S210 travel tripod. It's very small, very compact, very light, and it has some issues. Thanks as always to the generous men and women who make this all possible, either by joining up with Patreon or making a donation through the website. You are most appreciated. I think there's a really strong tendency with tripods to compare every new tripod to the fantastic $1,000 Gitzo you took 10 years to save up to buy. And if you do that, everything comes up short. And it's a little hard with tripods to be completely objective. But I'm going to try today, if I don't get bitten by a snake. We're in a swamp. This is Alan Wall's Photography. I'm Alan. Welcome back. K&F Concept's new travel tripod, the S210. It is a really small, really light, entry-level, go-anywhere kind of tripod. It has some features I like, some stuff you would normally expect to see on more expensive tripods, and some features I don't like. So this is my first chance to get out in weeks and weeks. It's a kind of warm, humid day. We're out in the swamps near where I live. So after hiking for about 2 miles, I remembered I'm supposed to be reviewing a tripod. So now I'm heading back to find a place with something that looks passably like scenery. And then I'm going to tell you all about this nifty little tripod. While I have a little bit further to go, let me get one key point out of the way. Tripods are usually made of one of two materials: aluminum and carbon fiber, composite material. What I suspect you may have heard in the past is that aluminum tripods, because they're heavier, usually bigger and more sturdy than carbon fiber tripods, they're to be shunned in favor of the higher tech materials. That is true up to a point. If you have a full-size tripod that you're lugging up to the top of Ben Nevis, any little bit of advantage in terms of weight is worth it. And with a large full-size tripod, that's quite a bit of advantage going from aluminum to carbon fiber. But that is absolutely not the case with lightweight travel tripods. The weight savings in a compact tripod between an aluminum and a carbon fiber tripod is negligible. It really doesn't make any difference. In fact, I'm carrying a similar sized carbon fiber tripod with me, and it weighs 50% more than the aluminum tripod we're going to be reviewing today. This is the tripod we're looking at today. It's from K&F Concept. They sent me this and asked me to take a look at it. And it comes in a nice padded bag, which is cool. This is not an expensive tripod. This is an aluminum tripod, which, as I mentioned, for small, lightweight travel tripods is fine. It gives you plenty of strength, and the weight disadvantage of aluminum's insignificant at this size. As you would expect from a lightweight travel tripod, it folds up nice and small, 18 inches long. It weighs about 3 pounds, 3¼ pounds altogether. And that's not a whole lot of weight to carry. As is commonly the case with tripods, it has 3 legs, and you have to fold them out to get started here. Each of the legs can lock into place in one of three positions. You have, this is the standing upright position. It's about 35 degrees. There's an intermediate 55-degree level, and you can flatten it all the way right at about 75 degrees of flatness, which means that the tripod can be used, obviously, standing up or very low to the ground, or you would think that would be the case, but that's not actually true. I'll show you why in a minute. It has a center column that's in two pieces. It extends and locks at the base with this fairly nice big locking nut. It has a second section at the top, which also locks. And these are the only two circular locks on the device. Everything else is clip. I prefer the clip legs personally. Like I said, there are four sections to each leg. There's the sturdy base section, an okay middle section, a really fairly thin third section, and then a too flimsy for my taste fourth section. The key in any tripod that you get is it has to be stable when you're using it. It cannot wobble. Now, aluminum is well known for not wobbling that much. This is the height of the tripod with all of the legs extended maximally. Now, it's pretty stable. Given the light weight, there's enough flex in the legs that I'd be just a little concerned about using it fully extended with a heavy camera. This thing is rated for 22 pounds of gear. If it's fully extended, this tripod goes up to 78 inches tall, which converted into millimeters is very tall. Now, theoretically, you could put a camera on this. You really don't want to be shooting with a heavy DSLR on an extended center post. This greatly increases the likelihood of getting vibration, which means if you're going to use the center post, I wouldn't use it more than a few inches to give you a little bit of extra height. And even at this height, that last leg segment is giving a little bit more than I would like. This is the tripod set up with the bottom leg sections retracted, and it is very, very much more stable. I would have really no qualms about putting a heavy camera on this. Before we load this up and start taking some pictures, I wanted to show you a few of the other features of the tripod. It has a quick release at the top that's fairly easy to use. It's the screw type, and it comes with a quick release plate, but the quick release plate has a thumb screw in the bottom of it that is actually about 2 millimeters too long to use with a Nikon camera. It bottoms out and the camera just flops around, so that's an issue. Certainly a minor one. You can just put a shorter thumb screw in, or use an L frame like I do, an L bracket to hold the camera, and that will work just fine. This is a standard Arca Swiss size. There is only one tightening knob. It's this one. There's no way to give the ball head a little bit of freedom but still be able to have it not flop all over the place. The ball head is 28 millimeters across, which is just about an inch, a little more. And that's a decent size for a small travel tripod. And it really turns very nicely in the collar. The collar is made of nylon, I can see. And I would expect that to hold up if it isn't exposed to too much hot and cold temperature changes. That can crack it. When I took this tripod out of the packaging and set it up, I noticed that it had a nice 360-degree panning head. But I also noticed that the locking button doesn't do anything. In fact, it doesn't turn unless you turn it backwards and then the plastic knob comes off. But there's no way to tighten this Several times using this, I have accidentally nudged my composition one way or the other. I was going to call K&F Concept and ask them to replace the ball head to see what kind of response I got from customer service. But it's Chinese New Year, and good for them. They're having their Christmas and New Year's all rolled into one. So I decided to just let it be. I know it would be an easy fix, and I feel fairly sure that they'd just replace it if I asked them to, but I didn't. The ball head unscrews from the center column, and what it unscrews from is basically just a crimped in thread. I don't know how secure that is or how long it will last. If you've ever bought any cheap light stands, you'll know that this is the first thing to wiggle free. Now there's a design issue with the head that bothers me. I figured it out and have had no problem with it, but I can see somebody who's new to photography and trying to assemble this thing could get into some significant trouble and ruin the tripod. And it is with this base. There are two parts to it. There is a screw, it's a 1/4 inch screw, standard tripod screw, that goes into the base plate. Now there's a 3/16 screwy bit on the end, which is perfect for your cell phone or GoPro, whatever you're using. I would place that down because I won't be using it for that right now. But if I were to leave that screw extended that much and then screw the base plate onto the end of the tripod like so, it'll lock and it'll hold steady. But if I then screw the tripod head on, the screw in the middle is going to hit the ball with about 2 millimeters of play left. When that happens, the ball won't move, and if you try to force it, you will scratch the ball, which absolutely is not what you want to do with the ball head. That'll ruin it. There is no guide as to how long this should be. There's no mark on the screw itself, and I think that's going to be problematic for somebody who takes this apart to clean it and unknowingly puts it back together like this. Will ruin the thing. So you don't need any more than about 3/4 of an inch in order to get perfectly good purchase and stay well away from the ball. One nice touch I like to see are these rubber bumpers. They're nice. They just prevent the thing from slamming into itself when you let the center columns down. One of these legs comes off, giving you a very useful monopod and a very useless bipod. Now what you can do is you can unscrew the hook at the bottom of the center column. I can't, but you can. There we go. And it has a rubber cap on it, like so. And then if you loosen the center lock, you can take the entire centerpiece out. I keep trying to stand the bipod up, and you can screw it onto the end here to give you a fairly long, and remember there's another segment that's not done, a fairly long monopod. This actually could be kind of handy if you were shooting with a light camera, or especially something like a GoPro out in the woods and you just wanted a little bit more stability. This would be light and easy to carry. So you can actually get even more height out of it like so. I'm not a big monopod user, rarely, but it's nice to have, I suppose, if you need it. The paperwork says you can use it as a walking stick. Another option, of course, with all three legs in place, is to replace the center column through the bottom of the tripod. Some people, I understand, will use this to take pictures of things close to the ground. I think this is designed for gymnasts who like to take pictures in their spare time. Now, this looks nifty, but the chances of me getting to a camera down there and ever being able to get back up again makes this, I think, a little bit gimmicky, but maybe there are people who like this. Let me show you another really cool thing that has retractable rubber feet. This is a really cool and useful thing to have. The rubber feet will screw down and lock right over the metal spike. And that means you can take this indoors and use it without incurring the wrath of your other half. My main tripod, which is a big expensive thing, I had to buy these feet that this one comes with. So that's certainly worthwhile. It comes with a screw-in hook for the center post. You can use that to keep important stuff out of the dewy grass, but probably more important, it's a great way to stabilize the tripod even further by adding a weighted bag to the bottom. And my bag's always weighted. Now, adjusting the legs. These are spring-loaded buttons. The idea is very cool and very common. The issue I have is the springs are not very strong. They're not very hard, meaning it's really easy to bump one of these, just bump it a little bit, and in so doing, move it to a different setting. Being able to easily press the button and change the angle is nice. I wish it had a more affirmative, more powerful spring so that you couldn't accidentally bump it as easily as I'd been doing. As with most decent tripods, you can tighten the legs. They come about medium tight. They're certainly perfectly good to use the way it comes out of the box, but if you like it a little bit tighter, just a tiny bit of a turn on these big silver hex nut things, and it'll give you all the tightness you want. And they actually include a Allen wrench and a very, very entertaining instruction book, which we're going to get to in just a minute. What I like to do with my tripod is take it all the way out. This is like 75 degrees to the center column. And I like to put my camera on the top, and I like to shoot very low. You can't do that because there is no short segment to the center arm. Many of the tripods that I use have 1, 2 or 3 inch segment of center post. This is absolutely as heavy a camera as I would feel comfortable putting on it, and that is with the center post only extended about 6 inches and the bottom segments of the legs retracted. So the tripod is low, but if you're looking for a compact travel tripod, bending down or just folding out your screen is not that big a problem. I would rather have a light, sturdy tripod that was shorter than a long, spindly one that wouldn't hold the weight of my gear. So I don't think it's a problem that I can't use the bottom section of the legs, because I definitely would if all I was putting on top of the tripod was a GoPro or a phone or a little mirrorless camera. Let's see what we get with one of these long exposures. These are really boring photographs. So it appears to be fairly stable on the tripod the way I have it configured here. I'm not seeing any motion blur at all in the images, and I'm using exposures of between 2 and 3 seconds. So that's promising. Let's go down to the beach and see what we can do in the wind. The beach is probably not a really good place to use an aluminum travel tripod. They generally don't have a lot of protection to keep salt water and sand out of the mechanisms. And salt water will definitely corrode the aluminum over time. So just bear that in mind. I'm going to take it down there, but I plan to take it apart and wash it tonight. And if you do that immediately after, I don't necessarily think it'll be a problem. This area is absolutely gorgeous. I love it out here. So we're down at the beach, and it's very bright. The wind has actually picked up just a little bit. So we're extended all the way as fully as I can. I'm even going to raise the center post just a little. Okay, well, it seems to be holding steady. Let's see what we get. It looks okay. From my personal experience with this, I'm 100% comfortable and confident using it at 50 inches, maybe up to 56 inches if I extend the center column just a little bit. But that's with the lower leg segments not extended. It turns out that it's a little more stable than I thought with the bottom leg segments extended. Maybe in time I'll become more comfortable with it, but they do seem awfully lightweight. I couldn't take another minute of the great outdoors. As the Australians say, the mozzers were killing me. They just came out all of a sudden. The tripod, the K&F Concepts S210 travel compact lightweight tripod, is all of those things. If you're looking for a light duty tripod that you can throw in the backpack, carry all day, and use with a fairly light or compact camera system, I think you'll be perfectly happy with this. Even though it will support my camera at 78 inches, I have very little confidence in leaving it untended. The lower leg segments looked too flimsy to me, and they even felt too flimsy. But with a camera bag hanging on the hook, there was enough stability to shoot with it. I would use this at 78 inches with a GoPro on it or with a cell phone on it. So would I buy this tripod? Yeah, absolutely. I bought multiple small, lightweight, inexpensive tripods. So I'd say this: if you absolutely know what you're getting and why you're getting it, and this tripod fits all of the conditions you're going to use it in, then I wouldn't hesitate to get it. Like I say, it's better than many of the inexpensive travel tripods out there. That's about all I have to say about the tripod. It's been a fun day using it. So I hope that this was useful to anybody who's thinking about adding a tripod to the stable. By all means, buy this with some confidence. Just be aware of the few things that I mentioned. Thanks for watching, liking, subscribing, doing all of those things. I really do appreciate it. I'll see you again in a few days with something else. Until then, take care, be safe.